You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Figure It Out of the Basement's Black Series talk show. I'm Nate, joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And today it's time to talk about the cold, hard truth about Black Series Haslabs.
Yes, Nate, I have been wanting to make this video for a long time. This is kind of just a spitballing episode. I mean, we have a few bullet points to go over, but it's going to be a typical yap sesh.
Yep. Classic out of the basement yap sesh. I feel like it is important to, of course, lay a little background, perhaps.
Sure.
Don't forget to hit like, subscribe if you're new. Mainly, what I want to say is, before we discuss anything, is of course we would love to have a Black Series Haslab.
Yes.
We would love nothing more than that. Justin and I would support that in a heartbeat. We know a lot of our community out there, hardcore collectors, would support this as well. However, this video is definitely from the lens of the community as a whole, outside of the out of the basement bubble.
Right. It's kind of just being real.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to drop a statement here that some people might take issue with. What else is new? I don't think any Star Wars Black Series Haslab would realistically work.
That's tough.
Now, of course, you could be like, well, what if they release a Ackley for $20? I'd back that. I'm talking something that they would reasonably do. Like something that they would realistically do as a Haslab. And I wanted to talk with you just about the nature of 1/12 Star Wars, like how big it is, scale, price,
Right.
how popular something has to be a Haslab. Like, I genuinely don't think anything would work. And maybe that's just a bit of reverse psychology on my part, so Hasbro would actually do a Black Series Haslab for a change. But just bear with us for a little bit. Nate, let's first talk about scale. A lot of collectors, a lot of people out there, I feel like they are misunderstood on 1/12. Like, they don't understand how big something truly is when they ask for it. When it comes to like Haslab suggestions and stuff like that.
Right.
People have unironically suggested a LAT gunship in the Discord, Nate.
Yeah. Which would absolutely be insane. We've had a content creator on, Star Wars Master Plaster, who has actually made a 1/12 scale LAT gunship, and it is so big that there's just no possible way to display it.
It's like the size of his like dining room table.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind, especially for something like the LAT, like 20 to 30 clone troopers are supposed to fit on that thing.
Not counting the pilots or the troopers in the little bubble turrets.
Yeah, think about that. Look over at your shelf right now. Look at the 20 to 30 clones you probably have on your shelf. And just imagine all of them fitting inside of a vehicle.
Right. There is a really awesome graphic out there that somebody sent in the Discord. I am not 100% sure where it originates, but it shows a human being and what they would look like standing next to 1/12 Star Wars vehicles. It's like a really useful graphic to demonstrate this point. And you'll be able to see just how large and gargantuan some of these creatures and vehicles truly are in 1/12.
This is something that I feel like, for you and I specifically, like, we've kind of come to realize this with like 3D printing stuff. You know, we 3D print 1/12 scale little diorama pieces, you know, and you print them out and you're like, these are huge.
Right.
Like, think about the moisture evaporator. Something that you would think would be like, oh, that wouldn't be too bad. It's gigantic.
And that's still underscaled.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And I know that the toy designers will do a fair bit of underscaling, like they did with TVC Ghost. They're technically doing it with the Cantina.
Oh yeah, I think
Like, there's always a certain amount of underscaling,
definitely.
but still.
It's just something that really only can work in 3 3/4 inch, and even then, like, modern day, they are pushing it. Like the Ghost is pushing it. It is huge.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's only so much more bigger they could even go for 3 3/4 inch scale too. Like that's already enormous.
Yeah. Another point I wanted to hit on is a couple years ago, fellow YouTube creator who covers the Black Series, Lukeness Monster, interviewed a designer from Hasbro, Eric, one of the GOATs, one of our favorites. And they said they made a concept prototype of an X-Wing, and it was too big. So just to put that in perspective, that is a single-man fighter. It was too big, even for a Haslab, which is like a dream project, like, you know, the way they market Haslab.
Right.
Too big.
Right. Because they essentially broke it down, and it's like the wingspan would be like 4-5 feet,
Right.
something like that. Like, and that just, it becomes an impossibility to display. And at that point, it's like, you really gonna risk hanging a Haslab from your ceiling? Because that's what most people will say. Well, I'll just hang it from my ceiling. You're gonna hang a rare, hard to get item from your ceiling? I just wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't risk something like that because it would be heavy too. Just with that amount of plastic, even an X-Wing would be pretty heavy.
Yeah. I also think Star Wars just doesn't have that sweet spot that something like G.I. Joe has, and something like even Marvel Legends, like with Galactus or the Sentinel, like those are super huge, like gargantuan creatures. Or like G.I. Joe with vehicles, like the Hiss Tank was just the perfect size for a Haslab. I think the Hiss Tank's like one of my favorite Haslabs ever. I'm not into G.I. Joe, I just mean like as a product presentation. His tank was amazing. It's just that perfect sweet spot scale. Even the Dragonfly, was that the helicopter one?
Yeah.
It just worked.
Right.
And I just, because I know some people will go, well, if X-Wing doesn't work, what about A-Wing? But that leads into our next talking point. How many people are going to want an A-Wing, especially when we don't have an X-Wing? So I also kind of wanted to talk about, like, should these things be niche or should they be popular? For me, I think it's an obvious answer that it would have to be an item that's popular enough.
100%. I mean, it's already been proven. I mean, we could blame the tiers, we could blame this, we could blame that. You know, you could play that game all day long. But think about something like the Rancor, a popular, iconic Star Wars creature. Struggled and ultimately didn't even fund. So I don't see anything. I couldn't see it an A-Wing or a Y-Wing. Like, it would have to be an X-Wing, and that's off the table because it's too big. So what else do you go with? ATST? Even that
used to be our pivot, but
even that, I feel like with how little OT focus there is, unfortunately, in the Black Series, and on top of that, how it definitely seems like there's not a lot of OT focused Black Series collectors anymore.
which is just sad.
It is sad, but it is kind of a reality. I don't think the support would be there for the ATST, even though I would love something like that. I genuinely feel like the only way we see a Black Series Haslab is a Jedi Starfighter. And even then, it's got to be right price, right tiers, because if it's too expensive, crash and burn. If the tiers aren't good, people aren't going to back it because people are randomly obsessed with whatever tiers are included instead of the actual item itself.
Yeah. Quick context update. We are OT heads. We're OT first, but we also love the prequel era, prequel trilogy, Clone Wars stuff, etc., etc. But we are OT first, and we were backers of the Rancor. So, like, for OT Haslab, I would love it.
Yeah.
I'd be gushing over an ATST all day. We're just thinking realistically. And what you were saying about the Jedi Interceptor, because that is like one of the most popular suggestions, it's something that I definitely agree with, could work as a Haslab, but when I bring it up in various Discord servers, the number one rebuttal is it's smaller than the Snowspeeder, which is true. The Jedi Interceptor, they're single-man fighters. Snowspeeder actually has two, pilot, co-pilot, and it is smaller, slightly smaller than the Snowspeeder. So, like, There's also scale, because the Snowspeeder was 120, but it was also kind of dull gray plastic. And
Yeah, it didn't have a lot of paint apps.
it's hollow, you know.
Right. Maybe they could spruce it up, give it the old lights and sounds treatment that people love so
Give
much.
it like a really metallic finish.
Yeah, but then again, especially in the Black Series community, people have a hard time seeing value in paint.
I have a theory that it's all accessories. When it comes to people's perceived value, it's accessories. And I think that's why Hasbro community obsesses over tiers. Like, they obsess over tiers when it comes to these items that are costing hundreds of dollars. They will let a $20 thing ruin the entire, like, $350 presentation for the product. So I don't personally understand the obsession with tiers. I don't really care about tiers. For me, it's like, if the base product is worth it, that's all I'm looking at. If I want the Jedi Interceptor with Anakin and R2, I'm like looking at that.
Yeah.
And then anything else is just like extra fluff.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, I know it's all baked into the price.
Yep.
I know. I understand. I'm just not obsessive over the tiers like some people.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it all goes back to the Rancor. You and I wanted the Rancor. I really didn't care about what else was included or what wasn't included with it. I simply wanted the 1/12 scale Rancor. That was enough for me. If that was all that it was for $350, you and I would have been happy with that.
I would have bought it without any of the tiers, yeah.
100%.
And we almost did buy it.
Right.
Because it was a few hundred away.
Yeah.
And it would have funded at, level, just the base level. So we wouldn't have had any tiers, and we would have had our $350 Rancor. Yes, it's overpriced, but I wanted a 1/12 super articulated, nicely detailed Rancor.
Right.
And that's besides the point. I just think, and this leads into our final bullet point here, which is number 3, which is price. The Rancor was $350 in 2021. So you kind of have to translate all these years of inflation and, all that craziness and apply that to modern pricing of what a Star Wars Haslab would be. That Cantina, how much was that?
$450? $400? I don't remember exactly. And I bought the damn thing.
Well, we know the Ghost was $500.
Yeah. Ghost was $500.
The Ghost was $500, and it didn't even come with the whole crew.
Right. You still had to spend $50 extra to get Chopper and Sabine. So really, the Ghost was $550.
Right. So I'm just trying to imagine,
Right.
in my mind, like a modern 2025 1/12 Black Series Haslab, and how expensive that would be. And I just think the community doesn't. I mean, it's a track record. We can say that.
I was gonna
It's just
say-
like the STAP, or it's just like every vehicle before.
Right.
It's not about, do a original trilogy one. Oh no, do a sequel trilogy one. Do one from Solo. We did prequel vehicles. We did the STAP and the Bloodfin. Bloodfin, kind of a success, I'd call it. STAP, they sold around half their stock in the U.S. So with the STAP sitting, and that was a $25 speeder. I know some people wanted the figure to be free,
Right.
because they wanted it to cost $25. I'm like, so you want a free figure?
Right. And they're not going to just do a vehicle by itself, unfortunately.
Right.
I mean, it would be nice because a lot of us do have plenty of B1s, but you also have to think about the people out there that don't have any B1s.
Right.
So selling a stat by itself would be silly.
Right. And quick side note, if this doesn't apply to you, we're not talking directly to you. Because some people, why are you coming at me? I bought the stat.
Yeah, right.
Like, obviously, if this doesn't apply to you, or if you didn't want the STAP, you're not a fan of the STAP, that's fine, that's okay. I'm just saying the overall community doesn't really show up for vehicles, doesn't really show up for whatever super large creature. I mean, the only real example we have is the Rancor, but Jabba went on sale too, and
I was going to say, we could be honest here, Justin, and just say Black Series collectors won't show up for anything that's pretty much more than $30. And I say that for the exclusive clone troopers that are like $27, $28. If it's anything above that, Absolutely not. Or there's pitchforks and torches out.
Almost every deluxe figure has gone on clearance, gone on sale. And we're not talking about the ethics involved with making something deluxe.
Yes.
We are just simply stating that the community as a whole doesn't really show up for things that are above a certain price.
Right.
We have that $25 price, it's established, and it just seems like most people aren't willing to make a jump.
Right. And that's okay. You know, it's totally fine to do things like vote with your wallet, but you have to understand, like, a company like Hasbro doesn't see that as like, oh, we got to do something different to get people to buy this product. They see that as, no one wanted this, we're not going to do that again.
Right. I mean, it took them how many years in between the last of the red and black box vehicles, which were just little speeders,
Right.
to the Bloodfin, you know?
Yeah.
Literal years.
Right. So it's fine to vote with your wallet, but you also have to understand that by not supporting certain things, that just only sends a message to Hasbro that we don't want those things. They're not going to look at it and go, oh, well, shoot. If we would have done X, Y, and Z better, maybe we would have sold something better. So we're going to do it differently this next time.
And who knows? Maybe everyone who wanted the STAP bought a STAP, and the collectors who didn't buy a STAP, they just didn't want it because maybe they're not into the prequel trilogy. It's only in a few different sequences in Phantom Menace. We're not hating on people for not buying the STAP. And we can just sit here all day and talk about HasLab wish lists and give them all sorts of ideas, which we have.
Yeah.
We have a HasLab wish list video with our ideas. But I just thought it was time to be realistic about, like, if Black Series is ever going to get a HasLab, will the community show up for it? It's going to be very expensive. I feel like a lot of collectors have a misunderstanding of the 1/12 scale. I think a lot of people would be surprised by how gargantuan some of those things that they ask for are. Because some people ask for these things, but they're not ready for that price. You want a lat gun? I genuinely think, tell me in the comments if I'm waffling, I think a true to scale lat gunship, fully detailed, with a decent amount of figures, tiers, all that, you know, good stuff, $2,000.
Yeah.
I like, it's that big, but I feel like a lot of people wouldn't think it's that big.
Yeah.
But it is.
And you got to compare it to something like Vintage Collection Ghost. That was a huge vehicle, $500. The lat, easily probably 2-3 times the size of that thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it would definitely be over 1,000.
Yeah, I would think 1,000 would be the absolute bottom of the barrel base price that they would ever do that for. And even then, I don't think they would ever do an item that expensive.
True, that's another thing. It's like they would probably want to keep it within that $500 range.
I was going to say, I don't think we've yet to see a HasLab over 500. So I feel like 500 is like the ceiling, at least at the moment. Who knows in the future, obviously.
They're going to take a page out of Lego's book.
But as of right now, it definitely seems like 500 is like the ceiling for a HasLab at the moment. So, yeah, to produce something like that, it would have to cost thousands. And then at that point, they just wouldn't even do it.
So I think scale is an issue. I think a lot of people suggest things that are not iconic enough or are not popular enough to work, and there wouldn't be enough demand. I feel like there's not a sweet spot that G.I. Joe and Marvel has. I feel like the community has sticker shock. I feel like the TBS community just sticks with the figures, the 1/12 figures, for the most part.
Yeah. Just my final last thought to sneak this in here. My only sliver of hope for a Black Series HasLab could be just obscure character packs. Just like 2, 3, 4 packs. They wouldn't be super expensive, but it would basically just be like made to order.
Yeah.
Here's Glup Shido X, Y, and Z.
I'd love that.
In this box. And this is your only chance to get them. Buy them or don't. Or like Max Rebo Band. If they were like, this is how you're going to get Max Rebo Band. That's it. This is your only choice. Maybe something like that could work. But then again, I don't think it would ever hit like the HasLab pricing.
Yeah.
So realistically, I think we just need to pivot away from give us another chance on the Haslab. Let's start campaigning for give us a chance on the made-to-order items.
Let me get the big fig. Let me get the Ninth Sister Inquisitor. Let me get
Yes.
Dirge, and let me get Ponkrell.
I think
Let's experiment.
2025 is the year we let go of the idea of a Black Series Haslab and we embrace the idea of Black Series made-to-order product.
Ackley.
The Jedi Starfighter could be a Black Series made-to-order product. They could do it.
Like 200
Yeah. And just make it.
$200 comes with Anakin and R2.
Yeah. Just made to order. That's what it is. Buy it or don't.
Let me get creatures and bigger characters made to order, like the Ackley, the Reek, the Nexu, and big figs like Ninth Sister, Dirge, and Ponkrell. I think that's a more reasonable, more realistic next step for the Black Series.
Mm-hmm.
And if you disagree with us, let us know. If you think a LAT gunship would work, a Juggernaut tank would work as a Black Series Haslab,
I want Death Star.
please let us know in the comments down below.
And with all that being said, that's all we've got for you on today's episode of Figure It Out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you are new. We're always talking about Star Wars The Black Series here on the channel. If you are in a position to help support us directly, we do also offer a couple different channel membership tiers, as well as some fresh Hotfire merch,
Whoa!
where there's direct links right down in the description below. While you're down there though, check out our Discord. That's totally free to join. You just got to make an account and you'll get connected with our nice little community over there. So check all that good stuff out in the description down below. I'm Nate. I've been joined with Justin,
See you guys later.
and we will see you all next time on Out of the Basement.